Hi, and welcome to another video by Get It Done Home Repairs. Today's project, we're going to come in here and we're going to be replacing this tile right here because, as you can see, the electrician put the hole for the electrical outlet in the wrong spot. He anticipated the overhang for the canopy, for the countertop was going to come to here, and in reality, this needs to be underneath the cabinets in there so it can come up inside the corner of the cabinet and then over to where the dishwasher is right over here. So we need to put that hole underneath here for the wiring to come through and go over that way. Another problem that he had is he actually put this here also in the wrong place here. He put this hole here anticipating that this was going to be the end of the cabinet, but really it was just the overhang for the cabinet was going to be out there. So we drilled in the wrong place. So what I did is I came in here and we took a masonry bit, we drilled a hole, and we relocated the wiring from this place over to this one right here. Now when you're drilling a tile, you want to use a masonry bit to drill. Now when you're drilling this into the tile here, you want to make sure that you keep this wet, because the worst thing you can do is if this gets hot. Once this gets hot, it's going to wind up cracking the tile and you'll wind up having a problem. All right, so we drilled this through here. We relocated a wire through here, and now we can put it into the cabinet on the end where we actually chose it to be. All right, so now today's project, we're going to be coming in here and we're going to cut this tile joint right here, all the way around, and then we're going to take this tile out here. This was just a test hole that I did just to see how it drilled through the tile without cracking it. All right, so, all right, let's get in here. Let's get our saw. Let's cut this out here. We'll remove this tile, and we'll remove that tile, and we'll put a new one in. All right, so let's get started. Okay, for the tools that we're going to need to get this job done is we're going to need a hammer, we're going to need a couple of different chisels, we're going to need a small little pry bar. We are going to use a bucket, of course, to put the broken pieces in, but most important, we're going to wind up wearing eye protection because these tiles, when they break, little fragments go flying all over the place and you don't want to get any of these fragments in your eyes. So we came in here with a hammer and we banged on the middle of the tile and just kept banging on it until the tile started to crack pretty much in the center of the tile. And from the center of the tile, we'll work our way to the edges and we'll slowly chip away at it. As tempted as you are to get underneath there and try to pry this tile out, don't do it, because when you try to pry it out, all you're going to wind up doing is you're going to wind up breaking the adjacent tiles next to it, and you'll wind up having to change more of them. So take your time, slowly chip away at it. If you're chipping away at it and only little pieces are coming out, don't worry about it. We're just going to have to do it that way. We're going to just take the hammer and hit the tiles until they start to crack. Once they crack a little bit, then we get underneath it with the pry bar or a screwdriver or whatever the chisel you're using to get underneath it, and you just tap on it and it'll actually pop out piece by piece. Now if you get underneath it with the pry bar and it does not lift up all the way, just put the pry bar under it, tap it under, and then tap on the tile itself, and you'll be able to take the tile out piece by piece. Now here you can see we have the tile is out. It's all removed, but the most important thing to do here is not to leave in the thin set from the previous floor below it. We need to get that thin set out of there. As tempted as you are to leave it in there and just put some mastic over the top of it or a very, very thin coat of the tile adhesive, don't do it, because it's not going to hold like the rest of the floor itself. So we're going to chisel everything away until we get down to the wire down below. And as you can see here, we're starting to get down to the wire. We're going to try not to do much damage to it because we don't want to wind up doing damage underneath the other tiles that are still held down by that wire. So we're just going to chip away at it very slowly and take it out piece by piece. We're going to do it both on this one, and then we're going to do the exact same thing on that second tile that we have to move. All right, so as you can see it here, it does take a while to get it out of there. Just slowly chip away at it and you'll see that it starts to come out piece by piece. Once you get down to the wire part of it, it comes out a little bit easier, but as I said, we're going to try not to damage the wire if we don't have to. Now, as you can see in this photograph here, you'll see that the hole that the electrician had marked out and drilled for his wiring to come through, it's a hole down to the basement down below. So before we put our new adhesive on there, the thin set to hold the new tile, we're going to come in here with a piece of wire, and we're going to nail wire over the top of that hole, so that way that hole will be just as strong as the rest of the floor. We're going to nail the wire over that hole, and we're going to use nails to hold it down. In some cases you can use very long staples, but in this case we're just going to use some galvanized nails to hold it down to the rest of the floor itself. And once we do that, then we'll come in here and we'll vacuum out all of the small little pieces of broken cement or tile that are in there. We'll vacuum everything out, and once we have it all vacuumed out, then we'll come in here and we'll wind up putting in the thin set and reapplying our new tile. So once we have most of the thin set out of there, and we actually are ready to come in here now, and we're going to mix up the new thin set that we're going to put in here. As I said, we're going to put that wire over that hole, so that way it'll seal up down below. In the meantime, we're going to grab our wet and dry vacuum. We're going to pull out all of the debris that's in there, because the worst thing you can do is leave all that broken sediment in there, and you wind up with a little bit of a bump or something underneath the new adhesive that we're going to put on, and the tile doesn't fit down exactly the way it is. Remember, the key here is that you want to make sure that the tile is exactly the same height as the tile around where we're replacing the tile. So you want to make sure you have a level in there too, so you can lay a level across it, just to make sure that is actually even with the tiles all the way around it. All right, so let's vacuum everything out of it. Once we have it all vacuumed out, then we'll come in here, we'll set up our thin set. We're going to mix that up. We'll come in here and we'll throw in the thin set in here, and we're almost ready to lay our new tile into to where the old tile came out. We took the thin set that we mixed up. We mixed the thin set so it's actually set sort of like the consistency of peanut butter. You don't want it too thick and you don't want it too thin. If it's too thick, it won't push the tile down and stick into it properly. If it's too thin, it's just the opposite. It sinks in and it winds up pushing out through the sides all over the place. So we actually took the tile now, and we on the back of the tile, before we laid it down on the bed of thin set that we put down on top of the wire, we put some on the back of the tile itself. Then we laid the tile down and we pushed the tile down, and we worked it back and forth just so that all of the new material down at the bottom covers the entire bottom of the new tile, and there's no air pockets underneath there. So we're just going to make sure we work out all of the air pockets underneath there. And once we're happy with the way that this one is, we're going to go over and we're going to do the exact same thing on the other side to that other tile that we have in there. We're going to let it dry for just a couple of minutes, and then while it's drying, we're going to go in and we're going to mix up our grout so that we can grout around the edges of the tile, so that way it's a perfect match to the existing grout that's there now. All right, so we lay it in, we just give it a push down just to seat it, and we just keep working it back and forth so that it seats perfectly all the way around. Now let's mix up our grout. Let's get in there and we're going to put the grout in. Now the grout you install just like any other grout that you would put in there. You would take a trowel and you would fill in all of the area around the old tiles and the new tile. Now we just worked it into the joint itself. We're going to let it sit for just a little bit. We're going to come in here with a bucket of water after a couple of maybe 15 minutes or so. Once it dries out a little bit, we'll come in here and we'll clean off all of that tile grout that's on top of it. And that's it. That's pretty much all there is to replacing a tile. So we'll clean this up, and then it'll match the tiles that are in the floor perfectly. Same height all the way across, and the grout joints look exactly as the other ones will. All right, I hope I was able to help you out. Don't forget, subscribe to my channel. And if you like this video, give me the thumbs up and let me know what you think of it. All right, as always, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys on the next one.